Israeli officials say Netanyahu decided to proceed with a new Gaza agreement despite internal objections. Iran's President Pezeshkian says Tehran is open to U.S. talks, accuses Israel of assassination attempt. Yemen's Houthis say the Magic Seas vessel they targeted yesterday has sunk in the Red Sea. p.m. The full news with Mihal Al-Hamalawi. Israeli officials reported that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already made a decision to move forward with implementing a new agreement regarding Gaza, despite objections within his government. Israel's Channel 13 clarified, citing officials, that members of the Israeli delegation in Doha will work in the coming days to bridge the remaining gaps in the deal. U.S. officials told Axios that President Donald Trump wants to reach an agreement with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during their upcoming meeting tonight. The site reported that Trump is attempting to leverage the momentum of the Israel-Iran ceasefire to secure a breakthrough in Gaza. After 4 months of failed negotiations, there has been renewed momentum in recent days for a ceasefire. Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has said that Israel's war on Gaza has reversed decades of development in the Middle East and warned of global repercussions if the aggression continues. Speaking at the BRICS summit in Brazil, Fidan emphasized that the Palestinian tragedy is central to discussions on multilateralism and called the crisis a threat to the legitimacy of international peace and security institutions. The Palestinian Health Ministry has reported at least 105 deaths and 356 injuries in Gaza over the past 24 hours. Since Israel broke the ceasefire with Hamas on March 18th, over 6,900 Palestinians have been killed and 24,500 wounded. Since the war began in October 2023, Israeli attacks have killed more than 57,500 Palestinians and injured over 136,000, with many still trapped under the rubble. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry has welcomed the BRICS summit's call for an immediate unconditional ceasefire in Gaza and Israel's full withdrawal from occupied Palestinian territories. The Foreign Ministry praised the BRICS leaders' final communique from the Rio de Janeiro summit for supporting a lasting ceasefire in Gaza. The ministry urged urgent international intervention to stop Israel's aggression, calling for a political path based on international law and the Arab Initiative. It stressed that achieving Palestinian rights is key to regional stability and peace in the world. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated that Iran considers holding a referendum with the participation of all original inhabitants of Palestine, including Jews, Christians and Muslims, a fair solution to the Palestinian issue. He added that Iran has expressed reservations regarding the two-state solution proposal in the final statement of the BRICS Leaders Summit and has formally registered its objections by submitting a memorandum on the matter. Israeli authorities seized 74 hectares of land near Ramallah in the occupied West Bank to expand an illegal outpost. Declared state land, the move aims to legalize and enlarge the settlement built on Palestinian villages. Since early 2023, Israel has seized over 2,500 hectares under this designation to tighten control over the area. Israeli bulldozers have begun demolishing Palestinian homes in Al-Murabba'a neighborhood of the Tulkarm refugee camp, targeting over 100 residential buildings. Although the Israeli Supreme Court initially issued a temporary freeze on demolitions, it later permitted resumption it deemed necessary for security or military reasons, according to Adala, a legal rights group. Bassam Zakou, the director of the Medical Relief Society in Gaza, has stated that severe food shortages are forcing some Palestinians to eat grass and leaves. Zakou called the situation unsustainable and urged for urgent action to end the crisis. The lack of baby milk and widespread hunger affect everyone in the besieged enclave. Gaza is facing a surge in meningitis cases among children, overwhelming hospitals strained by 21 months of conflict. Poor sanitation, overcrowding, disrupted vaccinations, and shortages of antibiotics are driving the outbreak. Hospitals report hundreds of new cases with limited space for isolation. Aid remains limited despite a partial blockade lift, with the WHO urging urgent delivery of medical supplies to contain the crisis. Meanwhile, Gaza's field hospitals are facing a critical blood shortage as supplies run dangerously low under the ongoing Israeli siege. Authorities say only a third of the needed blood units have been delivered. Dr. Marwan Al-Hams, director of Gaza's field hospitals, confirmed they received just 3,500 units but need over 10,000. He urged residents in the occupied West Bank to help, though Israeli restrictions are blocking deliveries. The shortage further deepens the humanitarian crisis, straining Gaza's medical facilities. Israeli airstrikes on Gaza have killed several displaced Palestinians, including women and children, in new attacks across Gaza City. Israeli fighter jets targeted a tent sheltering civilians near a mosque in southern Gaza City on Monday evening, leaving multiple dead and wounded. In a separate strike, 2 members of the Ramlawi family were killed when their home in Al-Tufah was hit, with others critically injured. Earlier attacks in Gaza City and Rafah claimed 3 more lives and left several wounded as strikes continue to devastate densely populated areas. A group of French jurists has filed an urgent legal appeal to block a military shipment bound for Israel. The group, Jurists for the Respect of International Law, says that the delivery could implicate France in violations of international law, especially over the Gaza conflict. They warn the authorization such transfers may amount to complicity in crimes denounced by both the ICJ and the ICC. The shipment reportedly originated from a Swedish company. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has resumed food aid deliveries in the Strip after temporarily halting operations due to an attack injuring 2 U.S. contractors. The suspension affected 4 aid sites, but services have now restarted. Aid workers say that many in Gaza remain cut off from reliable updates. Since May 27th, at least 750 Palestinians have died in attacks targeting aid distribution points. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has warned that Gaza's food system has completely collapsed under the blockade. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed deep concern over the worsening humanitarian crisis, renewing calls for an immediate ceasefire and unconditional release of all detainees. Guterres said that families are risking their lives searching for food as acute malnutrition rates among children have doubled and infant formula supplies are nearly gone. Israeli settlers have stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem, protected by Israeli police. Al-Aqsa has become a frequent target for such visits, often accompanied by right-wing politicians performing religious rituals. Under current Israeli rules, non-Muslims may visit but cannot pray or display religious symbols inside the compound. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has said that he wants regional stability and believes U.S. President Donald Trump can choose peace or ongoing wars. He expressed willingness to resume negotiations but highlighted deep mistrust due to Israeli attacks on Iran just before planned talks. Pezeshkian warned another war would further destabilize the Middle East, which would not benefit the U.S. Pezeshkian also revealed Israel attempted to assassinate him but failed. Meanwhile, Iran has revealed that it possesses advanced missile capabilities, enabling it to carry out daily strikes against Israel for a period that could extend up to 2 consecutive years. Ibrahim Jabari, an advisor to the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, stated that Iran's underground missile infrastructure is far larger than what has been announced, adding that the majority of Iran's defensive capabilities remain undisclosed. Yemen's Houthis have said that the Magic Seas vessel, which they targeted yesterday, had sunk in the Red Sea. The vessel carrying iron and fertilizers from China to Turkey was hit by gunfire, rocket-propelled grenades, sea drones and missiles off Yemen's southwest coast. This marks the first such attack in the vital shipping corridor since April. At least one person was killed in an Israeli airstrike on a van in Deir Kifa, southern Lebanon. The Israeli military has not commented on the incident. The attack follows a series of strikes on eastern and southern Lebanon targeting Hezbollah, launched by Israel on Sunday night. Lebanon's health ministry has reported at least 10 people wounded in Israeli airstrikes across southern Lebanon. 9 were injured when Israeli jets hit Rahal Tower in Tyre, while another attack in Zar'iyah near Sidon wounded a child. The raids persist despite a U.S. brokered ceasefire signed in November to end more than a year of fighting with Hezbollah. The Russian army has attacked Zaporizhia with drones, injuring 10 people and causing destruction. Ivan Fedorov, head of Zaporizhia Oblast Military Administration, specified that the Russians launched 6 strikes with Shahed drones. Residential buildings, university building and businesses in Zaporizhia had been damaged. Ukrainian Emergency Services has responded to a reported Russian drone strike. Crews were seen extinguishing fires and assessing damage to vehicles and buildings. The attack is part of a recent wave of intensified Russian drone and missile strikes on Ukrainian sites as hopes for a diplomatic resolution to the war remain stalled. U.S. President Donald Trump has dismissed Elon Musk's reported plans to launch a new political party, calling the idea ridiculous. Speaking before boarding Air Force One, Trump said that America's two-party system works and that third parties just add to the confusion. In a separate post on Truth Social, Trump also criticized Musk personally, saying that the billionaire had gone off the rails in recent weeks and raised concerns about potential conflicts of interest with NASA.
So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
Ursula von der Leyen is set to face a no-confidence vote in the European Parliament on Thursday. It's the first such challenge to a Commission president in over a decade, but she's expected to survive. Ursula von der Leyen will face a non-confidence vote in the European Parliament on July the 10th, the first since 2014 for a Commission president. The move comes amid growing criticism from the lawmakers, though it's largely seen as symbolic. Von der Leyen is widely expected to survive the vote, with support from major political blocs holding firm.
Thank you.
A video testimony of a former Japanese soldier detailing Unit 731's grim warfare in China was released in China for the first time. The former member of Japan's notorious biological warfare unit gave an 83-minute account in 1991, now made public ahead of the 88th anniversary of the July 7th incident. In the video, he admits to mass-producing bacteria used in air raids on Chinese cities like Wuhan and another city. The footage was released by the Unit 731 exhibition hall in Harbin, shedding new light on Japan's wartime atrocities. Giant panda Man Kan celebrated his second birthday with his mother and fans on Monday at the Chongqing Zoo, southwest of China. Named for beauty and brilliance, Man Kan enjoyed a festive party featuring a flower-decorated swing, fresh fruits, and a chilled fruit cake. The playful panda happily nibbled grapes while his mother watched nearby, delighting visitors. Conservationists have identified a new subpopulation of the endangered Andean hamwheel deer in Cape Forward, southeast of Patagonia. 10 deer were found during a helicopter expedition by Chile, offering hope for a species that has lost 99% of its population due to hunting and habitat loss. With fewer than 1,500 harmful deer left in Chile and Argentina, experts credit the area's rugged, roadless terrain for protecting this group. The region is set to become a 300,000-acre national park following a 2024 government agreement. A record-breaking 1,353 musicians braved rainy weather to form the world's largest string orchestra in a town hall square. The orchestra performed Beethoven's Ode to Joy, the final movement of the Ninth Symphony, and Europe's anthem. Conducted by Ramos Bowman, the event celebrated music's power to unite people across generations. The previous record of 1,021 musicians set in Hong Kong in 2018 was surpassed as players of all ages participated in the historic performance. Oil prices gained today, shrugging off both a larger-than-expected August output hike by OPEC Plus and concerns over potential U.S. tariffs, as a tight physical market provided support. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and their allies, OPEC Plus, agreed on Saturday to raise production by 548,000 barrels per day in August, a more substantial increase than the recent monthly adjustments. Brent crude futures climbed by just over 1% to trade at about $69.18 a barrel. Meanwhile, U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up nearly 1%, reaching about $67.60. Gold prices retreated to a one-week low on Monday. The drop comes as the U.S. dollar firmed up and traders digested news from U.S. President Donald Trump regarding trade. Spot gold was down nearly 1%, trading at about $3,307 an ounce. Meanwhile, U.S. gold futures also saw a decline, losing about 0.75%. The stronger dollar was up 0.2% against a basket of other major currencies, makes dollar-priced gold more expensive for buyers with other currencies. Global markets displayed a mixed performance today, especially after U.S. President Donald Trump said that he would impose a 25% tariff on goods from Japan and South Korea starting August 1st. In the U.S. futures for the S&P 500 dipped 0.86%, Nasdaq declined 0.88%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average decreased 1.02%. In Europe, the UK's FTSE 100 inched down 0.19%. But France's CAC 40 increased 0.35% and Germany's DAX increased 1.2%. Meanwhile, Asian markets were Japan's Nikkei 225 dropped 0.56%. The Shanghai Composite Index ended up by 0.02%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index was down 0.12%. Brazilian President Inácio Lula da Silva has warned BRICS leaders that denialism and unilateral actions are undermining global progress on climate change. He stressed that developing countries will suffer the most from climate-related losses, but lack adequate resources for mitigation and adaptation. Lula highlighted the newly adopted BRICS Declaration on Climate Finance as a crucial step towards mobilizing alternative funding sources. The declaration aims to position BRICS nations at the forefront of innovative climate finance models and development strategies.
A declaração quadro sobre finanças climáticas do BRICS, que adotamos hoje, apresenta forças necessárias.
At least 24 flights to and from Bali were cancelled after Mount Lowotobi Lakalaki erupted, sending ash 18 kilometers into the sky. The airport reported 22 international flights affected, including routes to Australia, South Korea and Singapore. The volcano's alert level remains at its highest, with authorities warning tourists to stay beyond 6 kilometers of the eruption zone and avoid lava flow areas. China's coastal cities are actively preparing for Typhoon Denas, the fourth typhoon of the year. Wuzhou City in Xinjiang province raised its emergency response to level 3, with nearly all fishing boats sheltered and over 1,800 tourists evacuated from remote islands. Transport disruptions in power inspections are underway to minimize damage. In Fujian's Shishi City, fishing boats have returned to port. Scenic spots closed and tourist safety patrols increased ahead of the storm's arrival. France's Sam Laidlow and Germany's Laura Philipp have won the Challenge Roth long-distance triathlon in Germany. Philipp, the reigning world champion, overcame her weakest discipline, swimming, to stay close to Swiss competitor Alanis Siffert before taking the lead on the bike course. She then dominated the run to claim victory and challenged. In the men's race, Laidlow delivered a strong performance to secure the win. German Jonas Schomburg, who joined last minute after dropping out of Frankfurt, finished second. Aryna Sabalenka and Britain's Cameron Norrie both advanced to the Wimbledon quarterfinals with hard-fought wins. Top seed Aryna Sabalenka defeated Belgium's Elise Mertens 6-4, 7-6, extending her strong head-to-head record and reaching her 11th straight major quarterfinal. She now faces Germany's Laura Scheigmerd, who upset Solana Sierra. Meanwhile, Cameron Norrie survived a marathon 5-set battle against Chile's Nicolas Jarry, winning 6-3, 7-6, 6-7, 6-7, 6-3 to set up a quarterfinal clash at his home slam. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz defeated Andrei Rublev in 4 sets to reach the Wimbledon quarterfinals and keep his title defense alive. Alcaraz dropped the first set in a tie-breakout, recovered to win 6-7, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 on center court. Rublev pushed the defending champion early, leading 4-1 in the opener and snatching the first set, but Alcaraz stayed composed and raised his level. With the win, Alcaraz extends his winning streak to 22 matches and will next face Britain's Cameron Norrie in the last 8. And that brings us to the end of our news bulletin, and here is what we have been covering. Israeli officials say Netanyahu decided to proceed with a new Gaza agreement despite internal objections. Iran's President Pezeshkian says Tehran is open to U.S. talks and accuses Israel of assassination attempt. Yemen's Houthis say the Magic Seas vessel they targeted yesterday has sunk in the Red Sea. And this concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at QNewsEG to stay informed. I'm Hala Al-Hamalawi. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more updates here on Qnews.